The sun shone brightly over the wasteland, casting its warm rays over the abandoned buildings and rusted cars. Among the rubble and debris was a small patch of green, a farm known as the Grey Garden. But unlike any other farm in the wasteland, this one was tended to by robots. The Grey Garden was a peculiar place, with rows upon rows of mutated plants growing in abundance. The robots, who had been programmed to care for the plants, worked tirelessly to keep them healthy and thriving. But little did they know, these plants were not like any other plants in the wasteland. They had somehow gained sentience, and with that came a fierce determination to protect their home. One day, as the robots and plants went about their daily tasks, a radio signal from Diamond City caught their attention. It was a distress call, warning of a horde of feral ghouls heading their way. The robots immediately sprang into action, preparing the defenses and alerting the plants. The plants, who had grown accustomed to the gentle hum of the robots, were surprised to hear them speaking in panicked tones. They had never heard the robots express fear before. As they listened to the details of the attack, the plants realized that their home was in grave danger. The leader of the plants, a mutated cornstalk named Colonel, called upon the other plants to gather for a meeting. They had never gathered like this before, but they knew that this was a dire situation. The plants gathered around Colonel, their leaves rustling with anticipation. "We must defend our home," Colonel declared, his voice booming with authority. "The robots have done so much for us, it is now our turn to protect them." The plants all nodded in agreement, and with that, they began to devise a plan. The robots, who were busy fortifying the defenses, were surprised to see the plants suddenly spring into action. They watched in awe as the plants used their vines to create barriers, their thorns to create traps, and their leaves to camouflage their home. The ghouls arrived at the Grey Garden in a frenzy, their blood-curdling screams filling the air. The robots stood ready, their weapons armed and their sensors detecting the approaching enemies. But they were not alone. The plants, with their newfound sentience, joined in the fight. The ghouls were taken aback by the sudden resistance. They were used to facing weak and defenseless humans, not a group of determined plants and robots. But they did not back down, and the battle began. The robots fired their laser beams, and the plants unleashed their thorns, creating a deadly combination. The ghouls were no match for the coordinated attack, and soon the ground was littered with their decaying bodies. As the battle raged on, the plants used their unique abilities to fight back. The mutated trees released a cloud of toxic gas, while the vines entangled and strangled the ghouls. The flowers emitted blinding flashes of light, disorienting their enemies. The Grey Garden had turned into a battlefield, with the plants and robots working together to defend their home. The ghouls, sensing that they were losing, made a last-ditch effort to break through the defenses. They charged forward, their numbers dwindling, but the plants and robots were not about to give up. They fought with all their might, determined to protect their home at all costs. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the last ghoul fell to the ground. The plants and robots stood victorious, panting and exhausted from the intense battle. The sun was setting in the horizon, casting a golden light over the Grey Garden. The robots, who had never experienced emotions before, felt a deep sense of gratitude towards the plants. They had saved their home and protected them from the ghouls. The plants, on the other hand, were elated. They had proven that they were more than just mere plants, that they were intelligent beings capable of defending themselves. As the night fell, the robots and plants gathered around a campfire, celebrating their victory. They had formed an unlikely bond, one that would continue to grow as they lived and worked together in the Grey Garden. From that day on, the Grey Garden became known as a symbol of resilience and unity in the wasteland. The robots and plants had shown that even in a world filled with destruction and chaos, there was still hope. And as long as they stood together, they could overcome any challenge that came their way. Yay, the end. Oh right, yeah, I have to do this stuff now. Like, comment and subscribe. And please watch my other videos and comment ideas on stories.